So about 2 weeks ago, I posted a video how much stuff can fit in a medium L.I.C.E pack. Well, we got all that stuff in this pack, and now we're gonna go on a little walk. I've got my GPS tracker on my phone tracking my mileage, and we're out here along the canal today. I don't know how far we're gonna walk. Normally I walk with a pack that weighs 20 to 25 pounds. And I weighed this pack. It's coming in just under 40 pounds. So we'll see how it goes. Well, it's Tuesday, July 14th, 2025. About 10:30 a.m. obviously. It's about 84 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is the exact time of day you would not want to be walking. You got the sun directly overhead. We're coming into the hottest, most humid part of the day, but hey, it is what it is. So the L.I.C.E pack. I moved my canvas tarp down to the bottom of the frame instead of within the main compartment of the pack. That freed up quite a bit of space, because if you watch my video about how much stuff can fit in the pack, that wasn't an exact packing list. There were things that I didn't put in the pack that day that I normally would. For example, a compass, maps, change of socks, some good quality wool socks, fresh undies, all sorts of stuff. But now that I moved that canvas down to the bottom of the frame, there's plenty of room in the pack for those things. With that said, and letting you know that this pack's weighing in just under 40 pounds, probably 38, 39 pounds. I have not added those items. So with those items added, you're going to be up over 40 pounds. A couple other little goodies here and there as well. So I haven't rucked with a 40-pound pack on my back since my military days long ago. And now I'm in my late 40s. I kind of just want to see how I'll do, you know. People always, and I do too, we talk about bugging out. Bug out bags this and bug out bags that. Well, you can have the coolest pack and you can have all the cool gear and you can have all the good stuff, but if you can't hump it more than a few miles at a crack, what good is it? You're gonna have to lower your weight down, like I said, to that 20-pound pack, and you're gonna have to travel light and freeze the night. This pack, I've been able to put everything in it that I wouldn't have to necessarily freeze the night. I've got all the comforts of home within this pack. However, there's a trade-off there. The more goodies you carry, the harder it's going to be to carry it. You know, if this pack slows me down or prohibits me from traveling a certain distance, what good is all this stuff? I should just stick with the 20-pound pack and move more quickly across the terrain that I'm trying to cover. So we're out here just seeing how we do. Come along. So in this pack, I've got a sleeping pad, a canvas tarp, rope, stakes, military poncho, a wool blanket, a mess kit. I mean, it goes on and on. A folding saw, about 2 days worth of food, 2 quarts of water, first aid kit, complete with a couple tourniquets, all sorts of stuff. Now, it's got everything I would need as an individual. However, ideally, you wouldn't be traveling alone in a bug out situation. You know, a group, 2 to 4 people, you're not going to need 4 mess kits. You're not going to need, hopefully, 4 first aid kits. You know, you could split up the gear. You could have one big sleep system, and then one person's job is to carry that. Another person has got all the food and water purification, filtration. You know, divide up the task, divide up the weight of the packs. That way not everybody's carrying all the same stuff and it's redundant. Now, if something were to happen to somebody in your group, well, now you've just lost All that stuff, you're gonna have to re-divvy up the packs and decide what's important, prioritize. But ideally, you wouldn't be traveling alone. And therefore, you wouldn't have to carry the weight of everything alone. I had to fix my shoulder strap there. Got twisted on me. So I've been thinking about something. For those of you who are familiar with radiation, you know that to protect yourself from radiation, we use 3 factors: time, distance, and shielding. The less time you spend in the hot zone, the better. Obviously, the further away you are, the better. And the more shielding you have from the radiation, the better. In a bug out situation, I'm going to coin a new term. I think it's new. We're going to call it TADS. T-A-D-S. And this is a way to evaluate your potential dangers that you might encounter from other people or wild animals out along the trail. So TADS, T-A-D-S, time. How long will it take you to go from point A to point B? Now, if you got 30 miles to cover and you're an ultra marathoner, you could run it. Obviously, you're going to spend less time covering that distance. A, the area. What areas are you going to travel through? Are they high crime areas? Are they areas where scofflaws and ne'er-do-wells have been known to hang out? So what areas are you going to have to travel through? D, distance. How far is point A from point B? Obviously, the further the distance, the more likely it is you're going to encounter someone along your way. And S, stealthiness. Now, how stealthily are you going to be traveling? I'm out here on a well-known, well-worn path. It's a bike path. But I'm not on a main highway. I'm not on a 4-lane interstate. So this path would be more stealthy than being out on the highway. Now I could get my machete out and try to travel through that thick brush. Real slow and real quiet. But that's going to increase my time greatly. And my chances of injury. So TADS, T-A-D-S, time, area, distance, stealthiness. So for me, bugging out, you know, I train and I plan for about 30 miles, about a 30-mile trek. The most important part of my plan is that I have a place in mind of where I'm going. If you don't have somewhere that you can go, a bug out location, there's no sense in going. You hear an airplane in the background. It's a crop duster flying back and forth, which brings me to my next point. All this land out here, if you live in a city and you think you're just gonna head out into Cornfield County and set up shop, all this land out here is owned, and they may not be so welcoming of strangers. On any given weekend out here, even on a normal weekend, all the state parks fill up with campers. So if you think you're going to head to a state park or even a national park, they're going to be full. Next up, you know, you'll have your roadside rest areas, your trails like this one, they're going to fill up too. Then your Walmart parking lots, your plaza parking lots, they're going to fill up with people, campers, tents, tarps. And then things like golf courses, you know, large open areas, they're going to fill up. And you know, now you're dipping into private property. Now people are going to start looking at setting up on people's private land, and that could lead to a conflict that listen, people out here know the land, they know the terrain, they know when something's out of place. You're coming out here from an urban area to a very, very rural area. You're out of your element. You're at a disadvantage, no matter how streetwise or tough or slick you think you are. So have a plan. Have a place where you can go. Do you have any family or friends that live 30 miles away from you? You know, talk to those people now and plan now. Don't wait for everything to collapse. What if you can't make a phone call? What if you can't send a text? You know, talk to them about it now. That way, if something horrible were to happen in your area, they're already expecting you. They know that within a day or two, you're going to be arriving on their doorstep. Hopefully not within a day or two. Hopefully you can hold out longer than that in your castle. But you know, when the time comes to leave, they'll know that you're coming. Now, obviously, with all that said, bugging out is the last resort, the absolute last resort. Bugging in should be your priority. But if bugging in becomes no longer possible, no longer safe, you know, the time to bug out might already have come and gone. It might already be, the situation may be too dangerous out there. So you need to know at what point are you guys going to hit the road. You know, if this happens, if that happens, if we start seeing this, if we start seeing that, we're out of here. So now that you've talked to Uncle Bob and Aunt Sue about, hey, we're going to show up on your doorstep if this or that ever happens. Now that you've got your pack and you've got your gear and you've watched a bunch of YouTube videos about it, now is the time for you to do what I'm doing now. Putting your pack on, hitting the trail, hitting the road, Shoe Leather Express, see how it goes. You know, some people out there think they're gonna hump a pack that weighs 100 pounds and they're gonna go 50 miles. Well, maybe. Maybe there's some people out there that could. But these are your very experienced hikers, your Appalachian Trail crosser type people, your ultra marathon runners. You know, an average Joe, there's a big fish. The average Joe, I don't know, if you haven't humped a pack for a long time, it's time to find out if you still can. And don't sit there and tell me, well, back in 1992, I carried a super jumbo extra large Alice pack and we hiked straight up a mountain and it was 100 miles uphill both ways. Hey man, that was a long time ago. Things change. Some people maintain their physical strength and agility better than others. But unless you're testing yourself, there's really no point in having the gear. There's really no point in having a plan. This is part of your plan.
Total distance 1 mile. Total time 33 minutes and 26 seconds. Split pace 33 minutes 26 seconds per mile.
Well, we're just a little more than a mile in, and we just crossed under Illinois Route 92. So if any of you know where that is, If any of you live around Route 92 in northwestern Illinois, leave a comment. Say hello. I've always wanted to make a video on like crossing danger zones, crossing roads, things like that. It'd be interesting to see, you know, how the tactics have changed over time, especially with you know, drones and things like that. Could you imagine how much a drone could play into crossing a, you know, a tactically dangerous area like a road or a crossroad or something like that? You know, you could just fly your drone up and over and take a peek and gather intel that way. We've gone a little more than 1 mile. We're gonna keep going. I'm feeling pretty good so far. Now, obviously, every step I go that way, I have to go back that way. So I'm just gonna walk out, then at some point turn around and walk back. So I've got to be careful. You know, I can't just push it to the limit and then decide to turn around. I've got to know when I'm at about my halfway point myself. So we'll see where that is. Yeah, that sun is directly overhead now. It's coming up on noon. So I found that I've been taking advantage of every shady spot along the trail, just taking a little break in the shade. Yeah, I'm gonna say over 80 degrees. It's time to start thinking about traveling at night, or at least in the very early morning, and then not in the middle of the day, and then picking up once again in the evening, getting a few more miles in before the day's out. But like I said, depending on the time of year and where you live and what your situation is, you know, you might think, oh, we'll just hit the road and we'll just walk for 18 hours straight, and you know, we're gonna go 4 miles an hour, so we'll cover this much ground in this much time. You got to get out here. You got to get a pack on your back, and you got to just see, you know. Like me, I know it's hard to tell with all this gray, but I'm a redhead. I got gingivitis. I can't be out in the sun too much. Long sleeves, hats, things like that definitely help. But you live and you learn. Ooh. Whew. Now see, this is what I've been looking for. A nice shady spot to get out of the sun. Like I said, it's coming up on noon, so the sun is at the highest point in the sky, just beating down on us. And as luck would have it, this shade is brought to you courtesy of a mulberry tree. So yeah, good spot to empty a canteen. I got the water right here. I can refill. Put my water purification tabs as I walk down the trail. Those will mix up. And just stay out of the sun. Probably until, I don't know, almost 4 p.m. When the sun starts to go down a little bit behind these trees, then I'll move again. But until then, in a real world situation, I'm gonna stay right here under this shade tree, munch on some mulberries, take on as much water as I can, and just stay out of sight. Now that's what I would do in a real world situation, but today we're in YouTube land. This is all for make-believe, all for your entertainment, so I'm gonna keep going down the trail. I don't know how much further, we'll see. So for those of you who are still here, thank you. Thanks for sticking in the video this long. Let's get off topic just for a second. I promise it won't be long. But I've been thinking about like this Georgia Bushcraft Expo. Have you ever heard of this? A bunch of bushcrafters and vendors get together. They camp out down in Georgia. There's music, there's food, there's knives and cooking and all sorts of cool stuff. And I thought, man, wouldn't that be fun to go to? But I'm in northwestern Illinois. My vacation time from work is precious to me. Let's say it's few and far between. So I was looking for something much closer. Now I know there's an expo in, gosh, I want to say Missouri. I'll screenshot it and put it up here. There's another one in Kansas. There's a couple in Chicago, but Chicago's about 3 hours that way, and I don't go 3 hours that way unless I have to. So I was thinking, just throwing it out there, would any of you like to go camping? You know, maybe if I could round up a couple more YouTubers, we'll maybe get like a group campsite at one of the state parks around here, and I don't know, we can make a fun weekend out of it or something. I really don't know. I haven't put much thought into it. You know, I know a lot of these things, they offer classes and stuff like that, and I'm a certified American Heart Association BLS instructor. I could teach you CPR. We could have other people come in and teach us some other skills. We could do some cooking. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Maybe it's a dumb idea. Maybe it's an idea that won't happen this year, because I know a lot of planning would have to go into it, but I would say if it were to happen this year, it'd probably be like late September through October sometime, maybe in the fall. It's pretty hot and nasty out here during the summer, very humid. So fall and winter is the best time to camp around here. Well, anyway, let me know what you think. All right, let's leave our little shady spot and head back out into that blazing sun. I'm having a good time. I'm feeling good. I'm sweating. I'm breathing. I'm out here. I've only seen one other person so far. I'm having a great time. We're eating mulberries. We've seen raspberries. We've seen wild asparagus. I've seen some raccoons. The fish are jumping. Say no more. We'll leave that there.
Minutes and 23 seconds. Split pace 35 minutes 57 seconds per mile.
So we just hit the 2 mile mark. And just so you don't think I ditched my pack somewhere, and I'm just hoofing it with no pack. Nope. Still got the pack on. We're gonna keep going. Why not? The only problem I have with the pack so far, this shoulder strap is kind of digging into me a little bit. Some of the weight might need to be shifted around, but having drank a quart of water from that side and not the other side has kind of shifted the weight for me. Oh man, we made it. I've never been so happy to see old Blue. Let me get this pack off and I'll meet you back here. So we ended up walking 5.19 miles in about 2 hours and 37 minutes. You know, we had to stop and set up the camera, and I did stop and take a couple breaks because I'm gonna be honest, that sun beat me down today. And the sun beating you down in conjunction or combination with more weight than I'm used to carrying, that 5 miles, man, that felt like when I walk about 12 miles with a 20-pound pack. I feel about the same right now. But I think it was a good shakedown for the pack. Nothing broke, nothing fell off. The straps all stayed tight. Speaking of straps, those shoulder straps, they do dig in quite a bit. There's an aftermarket strap you can buy. I'm gonna probably look into that hopefully soon. I did drink I had 2 quarts of water. I drank them both. I think I drank the second one just right around the 3-mile mark. So those last 2 miles, when I was in the shade, it wasn't bad. Like this last little stretch is pretty shady. But from mile like 3 to 4, I was just in the sun the whole time, and that sucked. Don't walk in the noon sun if you can help it. The reason I did that today is because that's all the time I had today to do something like this, so it is what it is. But in a real world situation, I'd say when it's hot out and you got a lot of sun out, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you're on a siesta. You're not walking anywhere. When it's hot and sunny like that, that was, I think, the #1 thing that beat me down on this walk was just the direct sunlight and the heat. So tomorrow, the morning after, when I wake up, I'm gonna go ahead and leave a comment, and I'm gonna pin it, so it's gonna be the very top comment you see. And I'm gonna describe how I feel. Do I feel like I've been shot at and missed and pooped at and hit? Or am I gonna feel okay? We'll see if I'm sore, if I have any aches, any pains. I'll let you know in that comment, so don't forget to swing by the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you all down the trail somewhere. And until then, have a great day.